What is up, producers, audio engineers, musicians? Have you ever wondered if parallel compression really works or it's a myth? Yeah, I understand, because I was wondering it for so long and never really tested in a good way to find out if it's working or not. So today I'm going to show you what parallel compression does. And I'm a bass music producer or an EDM producer, so I'm going to be using my dubstep sound, but it basically works for other genres too. EDM is the genre that requires the highest loudness levels in the music industry, so maybe you're gonna see some crazy levels, but depending on your genre, you don't have to achieve such crazy loudness, but it will certainly help you to understand these tricks and skills. Alright, let's dive into it. Okay, so I have this drop part that goes like this. Alright, and I'm using some clip distortion, overdrive, OTT, everything subtly. Of course, I'm using a little bit of effects for each separate sounds, and for the bus, the group of this drop, I'm using a little more stuff subtly to make the sound a little louder and also to make them united. And here I'm also using a compressor 100%, and it's not doing much. The ratio is 3.97. And here comes the parallel compressing, and it was turned off now, and I'm going to show you again with the parallel compressor turned off and on. So here are the meters on the right side. There is the peak meter of Logic Pro, and also this is the mini meters. Yeah, mini meters is just $10, and it's pretty great. It's cheap, and it has a lot of metering functions, and I'm using this to see the LUFS. So the peaks are the highest level of the sound, and the LUFS, which mini meter will show, is the loudness. Higher peaks does not always sound loud in human ears, but if the LUFS are high, usually it will sound louder for human ears. So the LUFS system is more adapted for human ears. It's like considering what human ears perceive as loud. So let's focus on the peaks and the LUFS for the first part. So the peaks are, for the left side is -2.7, and for the right side is -4.1. Right? It's a little unbalanced, but it's okay for now. And the LUFS are around -16 to -15. Okay, and I'm gonna turn on the parallel compressor and let's see the result. Okay, with the parallel compression, the peak of the left side was -3.1, and for the right side it was -4.7. So we reduced the peak around 0.4 to 0.6 for each side, and the LUFS were around -15 to -13. Okay, so we gained +1 to 2 LUFS, so it's louder. The peaks are a little lower and the LUFS are much louder. And of course, the auto gain is turned on. It's set to -12 dB decibels, so the output level is higher, but the peaks are still lower, right? So this leads to a louder mix, and it's better for you to do it for each groups of instruments, like for the drop part, or for the drums, for maybe a little bit for the vocals too, and it will help for the entire mix to be a little louder, right? let's bounce this and see what's going on so that we can see it visually. So I'm gonna turn off the parallel compressing and bounce this. Okay, the first one is with the parallel compression on, and the second one is with the parallel compression turned off, right? And you can see that the transients, the peaks for the parallel compression off, the peaks are kind of higher, and for the one that it's the parallel compression is turned on, you can see the peaks are lowered, right? Like especially here, you can see this peak is really high, but you don't see the same peak on this one. Also, the same thing can be said around here. So you can see this peak here. When you turn on the parallel compression, the peak is definitely lower here, right? So this is what parallel compression does. And you should be cautious about the settings for the compression. Especially, you don't need attacks. It can be 0 or nearly 0, close to 0. And because if your attack is slower, it will mean that it won't reduce the highest peaks with the transients which comes first, and it will reduce the sound, the levels after the peak has come. So you don't want those peaks. If you set the attack slower, it won't reduce the peaks as you want. So you should set it close to 0 as long as it doesn't destroy the groove of your sound. And the same thing can be set to release as well. And the ratio can be a little extreme. I usually set it around 8.0 or around that, okay? But do it while listening to your sound. And since it's parallel compressing, you're gonna set the mix to 50%. This way, it will reduce the really high peaks, and you will be able to bring up the entire LUFS, the loudness of the sound. Alright guys, that's it for today, and I hope it was helpful. Again, I create EDM sounds, so the settings, the levels are a little bit extreme for maybe for some genres, because EDM requires the highest loudness in the industry, right? But it can be definitely used for other genres. And if you think this was helpful, please leave a like and leave some comments. And if you have some requests, please also leave it in the comment and subscribe to my channel, right? Thank you and see you again. Bye.